Welcome, everyone. It's so good to have you here. Thanks, first off, to the Schmier family for the Schmier Concert Series Endowment Fund. We have a rep back there, so please give them a warm round of applause. Thanks to you. This is very special to us, and thanks to all the donors as well of the whole concert series. Today is going to be something very special. I'm looking forward to this since I found out they existed. Westbound Situation does a style they like to call chamber grass. Chamber grass, you can read about them. So everything you love about chamber music, everything you love about jazz, and everything you love about bluegrass, all wrapped up with 4 brilliant, brilliant players. Really, they're all over the country doing workshops, master classes, and I know you're going to love this style. So without any further ado, just get ready for an amazing time with Westbound Situation.
All right. Cool. Check, check. Check, check, check. Ah, there we go. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Before we begin, I just wanted to introduce everyone who's playing here today. This is Grant Flick here on the fiddle. We've got Zach Brown on the cello, Hayes Griffin on the mandolin, and I'm Jacob Warren. We're going to start off with a tune by the great mandolinist David Grisman. David Grisman is a hero of all of ours. He was the leader of a progressive bluegrass quartet, well, quintet actually, I mean, depending on the era. But he really pioneered this style of bringing together bluegrass music, acoustic string band music with elements of jazz. And so we owe a lot of our inspiration to his music and to his composition style. So here's one that he wrote called Fish Scale.
Testing. Oh, it is on. Hello. All right, so that's sort of a glimpse of maybe what we kind of grew up listening to, a bit of an influence that is sort of common between us. We all grew up playing lots of different styles of music. We're going to play an original piece now that is more inspired by pop and neo-soul, so more modern genres here. This is a tune written about a cat. It's called Theo.
So one of the things that I love so much about playing with these guys is the fact that we really share this love of acoustic instruments and acoustic music, but we really have quite the eclectic listening library between all of us. You may have noticed in that tune, Zach and Grant were using some percussive techniques on their instruments. That's a relatively new technique called chopping, which is basically just a way for string players to kind of emulate some of the grooves that you would often find in styles that have drums. So it's a really fun way for us to experiment with what we can do in what we would consider a mixed instrumentation string quartet to make it sound like there are even more instruments than we have access to. So we're going to play another tune here that's an original, this one also by Grant. And it's actually appropriately named for this gig because we're really lucky to have the great Hayes Griffin subbing for Jake Howard, our regular mandolin player. He's been kind enough to learn this material. But we're going to do, in his honor, our tune called Griffin. But for today, it's going to be Hayes Griffin.
Thank you all so much. We're going to continue sort of showing a wide array of influences here. This next tune was kind of written for something like this, like a Sunday afternoon, just chilling out at home. This one is called House Sitting.
So a lot of the music that we play together is original music, and the way it gets made is that someone often brings in an idea. It might just be a melody, it might be a groove, it might be some chord changes, sometimes all three, and we'll arrange it pretty much all together. And when we arrange it, it kind of depends on the tune. But for instance, that last one, how Sitting Grant was describing it as sort of trying to emulate that feeling of just kind of being at home on a lazy Sunday like today. Instead, you guys are all here, but thank you. We kind of love exploring a lot of different subject matter with the music that we write, and this next one is actually about a park near where Grant grew up, and I've gotten to drive through this park a number of times at night, and as Grant has described, it is indeed spooky. So that's sort of one of the conditions when Grant brought us this tune. He's like, hey, I've got this tune about a park, and we're thinking, oh, that'll be very nice. And it was really, really creepy, and we didn't understand. And then he started to describe Side Cut Park. It's this park that winds along the Maumee River outside of Bowling Green, Ohio. And yeah, it can get pretty dark, and there's lots of deer, which apparently is very scary for Grant, so. So this is our musical depiction of a nighttime drive along Side Cut Park.
very sort of Zen, hippie sort of town. And my cello teacher, I went to school for cello, you couldn't tell. My cello teacher was among the Zen folk. And she always spoke in like riddles and like history. And she's like, your arm needs to flow like a waterfall. You need to feel free. And it's sort of like, I would really love you to tell me if I'm in tune or not. Keep it sort of straight-laced. And that was not her vibe. But she was very supportive of all the things I did. So I wrote this tune like the night before a lesson, and I recorded it on my app. I was using a free voice recording app because back then, long enough ago, there weren't a ton of those around. And absolutely free because they're littered with advertisements. So I bring it to her in the lesson, I play the tune for her, and she says, wow, I really love calories. And I thought, like, does she like counting them? Does she like, I don't really, I was like, okay, but what do you think of the tune? And she's like, calories is great, I love this tune. And I was like, but it says untitled, by the way. Like, it says untitled, it doesn't say calories. And so I'm trying to figure out where she's getting calories from. She says right there, how many calories in a burger, it's her tune. And she was reading the advertisement at the bottom of the screen that says how many calories in a burger. And because I didn't want it to go any further for the lessons I paid for, I said, calories is a great tune, and for no other reason, that's the name of it, and I really hope you guys love the tune.
well, we have two more songs for you here, and they're both the last tracks on our last two albums, or only two albums, I guess. But this is written just as a nice little ending treat for our first record. I wrote this originally on a really unique instrument called a resophonic tenor guitar, which is a 4-string guitar that has this giant metal cone in the body, so it's kind of like an acoustic speaker, basically. And it's a real old instrument from the late 1920s, actually, and has this really nice old swing sound to it. So this is called Nocturne.
Well, thank you guys so much. First of all, I just want to say a big thank you to Ryan for being so great on the sound. It feels great up here, and thank you for being awesome, Ryan. We really appreciate it. And also a big thank you to Maya and everyone for having us here. This is really lovely to get to play for you guys on this Sunday, so thanks for coming. We are going to be hanging out in the lobby afterwards. We've got both of those records that Grant mentioned. That one was the last tune off of our first record, which we called Pilot. And we're actually going to finish with the last tune off of our most recent record, appropriately. This is a really fun one for us to play. It's called Tulip Time, and it features this lovely instrument here that we haven't gotten to play much in this set. This is what's called a nyckelharpa. It's a traditional Swedish keyed fiddle, and this is its first summer that Grant has had this particular harpa, and it's not really liked the weather all that much. So it's been a little tricky for us to play it on shows, but we at least want to get one tune in with it here. And once Grant gets it more in tune, I'm going to let the expert describe it a little bit more. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and here is Tulip Time. Close enough, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Tried to stall for long enough.
Yeah. So, all right. Who has seen one of these instruments before? Yeah, okay, a couple of people, that's good. So, we're gonna learn about it together. This is called a nyckelharpa. So first, nickel, harp. Nyckelharpa. All right, very good. So this is a nyckelharpa. This is, yeah, as Jacob said, a keyed fiddle, basically, typically from Sweden and found in Scandinavian fiddling. It has 4 bowed strings, which on this one are tuned like a violin, G, D, A, E, from low to high. And then it has 12 extra strings called sympathetic strings. They sound like this. So they're very pleasant. They just ring with the instrument. So they sit beneath the bowed strings and actually don't come in contact with the bow. And they just ring, so it'll sound like we added a little bit of verb to our mix, and that's because back in the Baroque era, when these things were first started to be made, they're like, hey, could we get some verb on that in post? And they're like, yeah, let's throw 12 extra strings on there, see what happens. And they stuck around. And then, there's a bunch of keys on the side, which look kind of like rowing oars, and that brings me to a joke I have for you. I learned recently that the National Society for Youth Rowing has an official plant. Does anyone know what that plant is? It's an orchid. Anyways, yeah, it's a good one. It's a funny joke. So, the keys are, the nickel part of nyckelharpa is Swedish for key, so it's like the keyed harp, or the keyed violin, basically. And that's nyckelharpa 101 for you, typically found in Swedish fiddling. We're going to play a tune inspired by that style, written about a time when it's less humid in the spring. It's called Tulip Time. Thank you all so much.
Thanks so much for coming. I'll be careful not to step on the keyed harp up here. It's so beautiful.